Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. So, Governor Mike DeWine of the state of Ohio, my home state of Ohio, and I hate to admit this, is stating essentially that the Springfield Haitian migration is legal. He's essentially saying that this is legal, that Trump and J.D. Vance are full of spunk, that these guys are attacking these legal migrants because they're racist, essentially is what he's saying. Now, mind you, Mike DeWine is supposed to be a Republican, okay? And in fact, he was the one that he was one of those governors that sanctioned, if you will, the lockdown of all the businesses and so forth during COVID-19. Yeah, he was one of the ones. He was one of those Republicans, those fake Republicans that sanctioned that. But that's here or there. That's neither here or there. What I want to do, I'm going to read this article. I'm going to read portions of this article. It's a pretty long article, but it is a very informative article because what this article will explain is that these people are not here legally. And we're going to find out why they're not here legally. And let's get right into this, okay? Because there's a lot of misinformation that's being spread, and Democrats are using this as a way to justify the influx of these illegals into our country. So the article starts off, the GOP governor of Ohio and many pro-migration media outlets insist the federal government's huge Haitian migration into the city of Springfield is legal. He says they are there legally, Governor Mike DeWine wrote in a September 20 op-ed for the New York Times, quote, I am saddened by how they and others continue to repeat claims that lack evidence and disparage the legal migrants living in Springfield. Now that's his argument. But let's read. I'm going to read on, and I want you guys to hear this, okay? Because there's some very informative stuff here. It says Springfield GOP Mayor Rob Rue reminded me, and as Trump and Vance refuses to acknowledge, the Haitians who have come to Springfield are here legally. Washington Post op-ed writer Eugene Robinson wrote on September 19th, I should repeat that. Federal temporary protective status allows them to live and work here, he added. But that's, see, they playing around with that concept. We're going to find out. The same fight is happening in nearby Charleroi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, where roughly 1,000 migrants have been imported to work at several factories and to rent apartments. Now, listen to this. This goes to show you that some of these corporations and businesses are in on this as well. There was no workforce in Charleroi a few years ago when a business owner desperately needed, said September 17 tweet by Camera Bartolotta, a GOP state senator in Pennsylvania. Before shutting down completely, he hired an agency that connected immigrants who were vetted and legal to work in his facility, she wrote. So what we're seeing here, one of the reasons why, and I agree with Greg Foreman on this, because he mentioned this in a video a few weeks ago, how that a lot of these businesses are in on this migration situation with this migrants being here with protective status and all this kind of nonsense, that they're in on it as well, because after all, they can hire these migrants and pay them slave wages. Nobody else is going to work these working these jobs for the amount of money that these companies and businesses are offering, except these so-called migrants. So yeah, this is what's going on here. So he says, the insistence that Springfield's roughly 15,000 Haitian migrants are legal is intended to squash public objective to the federal government's economic policy of inviting the taxpayer-subsidized migration into America's towns and cities. The claim of legality also helps Democrats to reframe the normal economic and civic debate as a personalized racial insult by deplorable and irredeemable Trump supporters. Now, I'm going to read that again because I want you to get this. Now, this is the editor of the article. This is their words. The insistence that Springfield's roughly 15,000 Haitian migrants are legal. Now, that's interesting because they're 15,000. I thought it was 20,000. These numbers are just not matching. And either way, it's still a lot of people, okay? are legal is intended to squash public objectives to the federal government's economic policy of inviting a taxpayer subsidized migration. In other words, hardworking taxpayers are paying for this. So if you working, you paying for this. That's your money paying for it. Okay. If you ain't working and you no offense to people on welfare, but if you ain't working and you're on welfare, it don't matter to you. You can care less. Okay. But for you working, you the one paying for it. The claims of legality also helps Democrats to reframe the normal economic and civic debate as a personalized racial insult by, deplorable and irredeemable Trump supporters. In other words, you guys are just trying to make this thing a racial thing. And yeah, that's what you're trying to do it for. These people are protected. Woo, 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 woo. The article goes on to say, but is the widespread claim of legality true? I'm sorry. Or is the administration using legal means to legalize illegal migration? Or is the administration using legal means to legalize illegal migration? Before I even get into that, yes, they are. Okay. So TPS migrants, the flow of roughly 16,000 Haitians into Springfield, now it's 16,000, right? I don't understand what's going on here with this number, unless it's going up, obviously. The flow of roughly 16,000 Haitians into Springfield is just part of the massive flood of approximately 10 million legal, illegal, temporary, and quasi-legal migrants welcomed by whoever this person's name is, Alex Genre, I don't know, who is President Joe Biden's pro-migration border chief. His inflow includes roughly 300,000 Haitian migrants who he provided with temporary protective status. So, of course, the TPS is what that is. But just hear what this temporary protective status is really all about, right? His award of this renewable status means they are illegal migrants whom he is allowing to legally remain and work in the United States for a few years. So they're illegal. They're not supposed to be here, but this protective status, this status protects them, okay? So anyway, says from being deported. He goes on to say that two-level status also means they are illegal migrants who can work legally and can legally get anti-poverty aid. It's just to protect them. Quote, recipients of TPS are generally people who are in the country unlawfully or soon will be because their visas are going to expire, said Joan Thier, a former top advisor at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. From January 2017 to January 2021, he told Breitbart News, quote, they're not immigrants. They're not permanent residents. They're not anything other than illegal aliens who have been given a temporary reprieve from deportation. So you see what this is all about. Under the law, they will be deported because of their illegal status. It's just a matter of when. An immigrant is a person with permanent residency. That's with a green card. Anyone with TPS is by definition not an immigrant. So you can see what the Democrats are using here. They're using this TPS as a way to say, hey, J.D. Vance and Trump and them just harping on these people in these Haitians because they're Haitians. Woo, woo, woo. They're being racist, this, that, and the other. And they're using this TPS way to justify them being here legally. They're not. This is just to protect them until it's time for them to go, if that ever happens. It's just temporary protection status, okay? So they can work these little jobs or whatever for slave wages or whatever. Look, I'm not going to go any further than that. You guys can read the rest of that article in the description box below, but you get the gist of what that is, though, because it's a pretty long article. Mike DeWine he's one of those Republicans that are never Trumper. This guy, I hate that I'm in a state with a fake Republican. It just annoys me. And I'm not saying that, all Republicans are this way or all Democrats are just far left and all Republicans are fake. Obviously they're not. But in this particular instance here, one of the reasons why we're having issues here in Springfield, Ohio, is because of the governor of our state who is using the TPS as a way to justify these migrants being here. It's a difference between a migrant and an immigrant, as the individual stated in the article. There's a difference between the two. And and the Democrats need to stop trying to use TPS as a way to justify these migrants being here. Okay, and well, this just created in order to protect these people from being deported. That's all it is. That's all it's all about. They don't have a green card. They're trying to, some of these Democrats trying to get them to get a green card, but they have to go through the process to do that. Not to do that is wrong, is wrong, is illegal, is immoral. But, you know, I can understand why a lot of these so-called Democrats, which are actually communists, are trying to do that. I understand what you're trying to do. You're not fooling me. You're not tricking me. You're lying pieces of doo-doo. And because I'm a man of God, I'm not going to say what I think sometimes. I have to ask God to forgive me all the time for what I'm thinking, because I hate deceivers. I cannot stand people who purposely, consciously do things to deceive people. I cannot stand that. I have more respect, and this is no offense, but I have more respect for Satanists and people, and I'm serious. I have more respect for people who are Satanists. Now you say, that's deep, Mr. Bolden. What are you talking about, you man? Because they come right out and tell you what they believe in. They say, we believe Satan is the true God, and you guys God and not the true God, and we believe he's the true God, and this is where we stand. I have more respect for them because they tell you right up front where they stand. They're not trying to deceive you. That's what they believe. That's what they adhere to. I don't have the same belief, but I have more respect for them because they tell you right up front what they believe and what they stand for. They're not trying to deceive you. This is what we believe. These radical Democrats and these radical liberal politicians and these Marxists, I can't stand them because they pose as your friend, shaking your hand, smiling in your face, and saying things like, we want to bring equity and diversity and woo-woo-woo, when in reality, what they're trying to do is to demoralize the country. They're trying to destroy the moral fabric of our country in order to rebuild it again into a screwed up communist country. I cannot stand these people. It takes everything within me through the power of prayer and the power of God living in me not to want the worst for these people, because these people are horrible. They need to be voted out of Congress, voted out of everything, okay, and given their own little place to be, go into your own little world, because that I cannot stand. And I cannot stand a fake Republican. What kind of money are they giving DeWine? Winehead DeWine. What kind of money are they giving him? He looks like a winehead because every time I see him, he looks like he's drunk all the time. DeWine wine. Okay, you drunk on wine all the time, man. What's up with that, So, yeah, this is what they're doing. And he's saying they're here legally. No. TPS is just a temporary protective status. They're not here legally. This is just protects these Haitians from being deported. They're here illegally, according to what this other person from IC said. They're here illegally. So let's quit playing games, Mike DeWine, Winehead. Let's quit playing these games. Let's stop trying to twist things and make things the way you want them so that you can deceive the American people and people in the state of Ohio. I'm not one of them, brother. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not one of them, okay? And like I told you guys, man, this type of stuff is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse because we have fake people like DeWine, and we have the government's filled with Marxists and communists who are purposely, I believe, trying to destroy this country, and they have been doing it for quite some time. And let me just say this, and I'm going to end the video on this. One particular source I was reading where it stated that one particular communist from some decades ago actually stated, and I'm quoting his words, I can't remember his name, but he was a communist, obviously, who had infiltrated American institutions. And he stated that we're going to make America so corrupt that she stinks. This is what he said. We're going to make America so corrupt that she stinks. And what he meant by corrupt, he, for the most part, meant morally. And is America corrupt morally? Oh, my God, yes. To the point where she stinks in my nostrils, so to speak. And why is that? Because in order to control people, you have to demoralize them. It's easier to control them psychologically when they have no morals, when they can't tell the difference between right or wrong. When you have people like Tim Walz as the governor of, I forget what state he was, the governor of whatever state that was, sanctioning, if you will, or pushing the idea of putting tampons in boys' restrooms. What other reason would you be doing that other than to try to confuse the young boys that go in the restroom? There is no justifiable, logical, reasonable reason to be doing so other than to be purposely trying to confuse the young boys that go into that restroom. What reason is there? What reason is it? Nobody can give a justifiable reason of putting freaking tampons in a boys' restroom. The boys cannot do that. They can't. Period. The only way that they could do that, and I'm going to get gross here. So if you got children listening to this, you might want to have them to step out of the room. But I'm going to try to be as PG-13 as I possibly can. The only way that they could bleed, if you will, is if they do something underneath there with some sharp object. Okay. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. I know that's gross. I know that's an extreme measure, but that's the only way to justify a boy bleeding down there and using a freaking tampon. Stop it. I know what you're doing. You're trying to confuse our young people. And that's why I cannot stand these radical liberals, because they're doing this on purpose. They're posing as your friends. They're not your friends. They're your enemies. They're deceiving you, and they're doing it consciously. They're doing it. They know what they're doing. That's why I don't have debates with them. That's why I don't have arguments with them. I can't stand the sight of them, because you're nothing but the devil in human flesh. That's all you are. Okay, that's all they are to me. Now, anybody watching this, that's all they are to me. So yeah, I wanted to say that. Yeah, so Mike DeWine, stop lying. These people are not here legally. Stop it. They just have temporary protective status to work these slave wage jobs. So quit it, man. Quit it. Quit playing games. But that's what I had to say about that. What do you guys think about this debacle? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.